Tech conspiracies go back as far as technology. Nowadays, you can't scroll a feed without coming across your uncle talking about a tech conspiracy as if it's a news story. Why do we all love a good conspiracy? Well, for starters, it taps into our crusader complex, the Mulder and Scully inside all of us that's dying to expose deep, dark secrets. Then, there's a general mistrust many have toward governments and corporations. It also doesn't help that the entertainment industry fuels these fringe beliefs. Movies like Enemy of the State and The Manchurian Candidate, and television shows like Mr. Robot play into our sense that something isn't quite right in our modern world, and sometimes even validate existing conspiracy theories. Whether it's questioning the existence of birds, that can't be right. Or believing a warship disappeared in plain sight. Let's journey through the decades and look at 5 of the wildest accusations people have made about tech and one that happens to be true. In 1943, at the height of World War II, the US Navy decommissioned a destroyer called the USS Eldridge and equipped it with a futuristic technology based on Einstein's unified field theory. The goal was to harness a new magnetic field that would make it invisible. Seems doable, right? It was time to test what has been described as alien technology. The crew readied themselves. Nearby ships waited in anticipation. The switches flipped and poof, the Eldridge disappeared in broad daylight. The tide of war turned. Witnesses beheld history. The world was never the same again. Except none of that happened. This supposed event became known as the Philadelphia experiment, and despite reports of several witnesses, only one ever came forward. In fact, most of the information about the Philadelphia experiment derived from a man named Carl Meredith Allen. Here's one theory as to how it all went down. Allen sent a series of letters to noted ufologist and author Morris K. Jessup, urging him to further his studies on UFOs and alien technology. In Jessup's replies, he included some thoughts on Einstein's unified field theory, to which Allen replied that he could prove the unified field theory was real because he saw the Eldridge disappear from the Philadelphia Naval Yard on October 28, 1943. He went on to claim that the US military had conducted and was trying to cover up what he called the Philadelphia experiment. Allen then sent Jessup's book, The Case for the UFO, along with pages of annotations to the US Office of Naval Research. For whatever reason, some people in the Office of Naval Research secretly made copies of the notes. These copies spread. A little broken telephone happened, certain people with active imaginations fanned the flames, and that's pretty much how a tech conspiracy starts. To this day, no unified field theory has been proven or garnered total support from theoretical physicists. Despite being debunked, the Philadelphia experiment still haunts subreddits today and even had a mini comeback decades later when another tech conspiracy emerged. Since the 1980s, rumors persisted about a continuation of the Philadelphia experiment with the mysterious, shadowy Montauk Project. This tech conspiracy began sometime in the 1970s and centered on experiments illegally conducted by the US government to advance mind control technology by training psychics and studying time travel and interdimensional travel. A totally normal use of taxpayers' dollars, America. There's never been a shred of evidence that any of this happened, and there's a good chance it probably never did. But pop culture has taken the Montauk Project and run with it. How, you ask? Well, the hit Netflix series Stranger Things was inspired by it. So much so that its original title was Montauk. On a personal note, I love Robin, but I also get how some people are more into Eddie. Where were we? For those who think the Montauk Project is pure science fiction, did you know that the CIA did, in fact, secretly fund and perform mind control experiments on unwitting volunteers as part of the MK Ultra program? Unfortunately, this is not a conspiracy theory. It really happened and was active for decades. Some infamous people like Whitey Bulger, Ted Kaczynski, and Saran have been allegedly tied to the MK Ultra program as participants. Let's travel to 1999. Everyone's talking about 3 things: the Sixth Sense, Napster, and the end of the world because of Y2K. When computer programs were being written in the 1960s and 1980s, programmers used a 2-digit year code, dropping the 19. So 1999 was programmed as 99. As the new millennium approached, the widespread fear was that when the calendar turned to the year 2000, computers would think it was 1900 and a series of epic malfunctions would occur. Uh-oh. You see, many computers require the correct date in their systems to do everything, from airline operations and setting daily interest rates to performing safety checks at power plants. This means the Y2K bug was a real threat to air travel and the global financial system and could cause a nuclear meltdown. So yeah, it made sense that people were freaking out and loading up their bunkers. As the clock struck midnight on January 1st, 2000, nothing happened. It seems the Y2K bug was an easy yet expensive fix for most companies, and levels of government had been aware of the problem for at least a decade. Of course, no one told me while I was stocking up on Lunchables, but fine, I'm glad everything worked out. While all these tech conspiracies sound bad, none would compare to our iPhones breaking. Conspiracy theorists have a long-held belief that Apple builds their devices to act up or die just as the next generation is about to hit the market. They call it planned obsolescence. Not cool, Apple, not cool. Here is what actually happens. When tech companies like Apple bring new hardware to the market, they often simultaneously release updates for their operating systems. Updating an old iPhone with a new operating system can cause it to lag or develop a bug or two. So really, this is just two separate things converging and people creating a cause and effect situation. See, no conspiracy here, just life in the modern world. Jumping ahead to 2020, in the early days of the pandemic, a tech conspiracy was seeping into mainstream belief, like we didn't have enough to deal with. Starting on a French conspiracy website, Les Moutons Enragés, which roughly translates to the rabid sheep. Wow, everything does sound better in French. Followers of the 5G coronavirus conspiracy believe that 5G technology caused COVID-19. The key piece of evidence was the installation of 5G towers in Wuhan before the outbreak, and that's all it took for believers to set fire to cell phone towers around Europe. The 5G conspiracy fails to consider that a virus is contracted through droplets, not radio waves. Also, people often leave out the fact that 5G towers were installed in many places before being installed in Wuhan, and nothing happened. Another fun fact is you can trace early iterations of this tech conspiracy to when the first radio towers were installed, and many claimed it led to the Spanish flu outbreak in 1918. It's exciting to think how radio waves will harm us next. If you've been wondering if Gen Z ever gets in on the fun, well, we got a doozy for you. In major cities like Memphis and Los Angeles, billboards recently popped up declaring birds aren't real. Also, Birds Aren't Real Instagram and TikTok accounts have garnered armies of followers, and YouTube videos about it have gone viral. The belief is that birds are actually drone replicas used by the US government to spy on its citizens. Countless young people have joined the movement to spread the good word or have gotten in on the internet's best and longest running bit. This tech conspiracy has been debunked because birds are real. Also, birds are real. Tech conspiracies can be a fun distraction, but there's a danger in believing in them wholeheartedly. Always do your research. Have you ever fallen down a tech conspiracy rabbit hole? Have you always had the sneaking suspicion that birds aren't real? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for new videos every other week. Bye-bye.